So the iPhone SE 2, the elusive, forbidden iPhone SE 2, it seems like everybody's saying different things about this phone. Is it happening? Is it going to be canceled? What's it going to look like? Is it going to have Face ID? Is it going to have a notch? I've never been more confused regarding an unreleased product, and I know we should be, but running a leaks channel, you know that usually you know what's coming. I mean, the leakers give you a good idea, and then you have a rough idea in your head what's going to happen. This time around, nobody really knows. Everyone's going crazy. So in this video, I wanted to show you the iPhone SE 2, the shell that supposedly leaked not too long ago, how it looks. It gives you a pretty good idea of how the iPhone SE 2 would look, and talk about the latest rumors and everything we know about the iPhone SE 2. There's actually some good news that I'm pretty excited to talk about, and the fact that it might actually be happening or will be happening according to some sources. So let's get into that. So first thing I wanted to do is show you how I made this very quick process. It's an iPhone 5S or potentially an iPhone SE original in the shell of the supposed iPhone SE 2. I put this thing together pretty quickly. I'm going to show you how I did that, and it works on an iPhone 5S or an iPhone SE original edition. They sell these shells. They're modeled after the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, but the rumors earlier suggested that the new iPhone SE 2 could possibly come in a gold finish with a glass back. This is exactly what it models it off of. And by gold finish, I mean the new one from the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus series. I think it looks fantastic. It really gives the iPhone SE this really updated look. And I feel like this is a little bit thinner. It feels sleeker than an original iPhone 5S, so definitely improves that design. I really like how it turned out. Now this plus a larger camera, maybe the entire full screen on the front with the notch would be so slick. Like, this thing would be amazing. I would never use it personally. I need a larger display. Let me show you how I did that real quick, and then we'll get into the leaks. Okay, so in here is what the iPhone SE 2 would look like if Apple were to make it official. It looked like an iPhone 8 in the shell of the iPhone SE 2, and there are many conflicting rumors as to what it will actually look like. So this is right now the best idea I think that we have. So a case, and here is the kit. So let's see how close they got to the iPhone 8 colors. And I'm gonna peel this back. Ooh, that is kind of cool. So this is a gold color. Not quite the shade that I'm getting here on the iPhone 8. That one's more of a rose gold, but this does have that look overall. Pretty much the same shell. So just like that, that is the iPhone SE 2 edition for the current iPhone SEs and the iPhone 5S. Now comparing it to an actual 5S, you see that the color is a little bit different. The shading is off, closer to that of the iPhone 8, but again, not so similar. On the sides, maybe a little, but definitely if this was what the iPhone SE 2 would evolve to, this is something what it would look like. So kind of cool, give yourself that upgrade. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap over all the parts real quick and see what the final result does look like. And I like that it cleans up the back, definitely makes it look a lot more like what an SE would look like if Apple were to release it. So if you guys have an older 5S and you want to bring it up to date, this is certainly the way to do it. Make it look pretty fresh because it will be receiving iOS 12 according to the rumors. Now how to do this, I would recommend a mat, of course your toolkit, and basically the little battery stickers and the hardware that they provide should be sufficient. It's a very easy mod, especially on something older like this. You know, if you do break anything, it's pretty cheap and easy to replace the little parts. So I'm gonna just do a time lapse. I've already done this on my channel. If you want to see more in depth, I'll leave a link down below in the description. So where to begin? There are so many iPhone SE 2 leaks right now, and for a device I'm not too interested in, I still want to talk about it just because I know there are so many people out there that are waiting for this device. I see the feedback, like on my videos with the iPhone SE 2, I have so many people asking me what's going on, is it coming out? So here it is, what's new. Now Evan Blass on Twitter posted this, and this is just a tweet that says iPhone SE 2018. This is supposedly what it will be called. I mean, this tweet is confirming two things. One, that it is happening, and the name potentially of this new iPhone SE model. I think iPhone SE 2018 definitely makes sense. It's a lot to say, but it's either that or the iPhone SE 2, and I think iPhone SE 2018 definitely makes sense. So he didn't really give any info besides that, but this does give me hope. From a very reliable source, he's saying that the iPhone SE 2 will be happening, and this is what it might be called. Meanwhile, OnLeaks on Twitter posted more 3D renders from the CAD files of the iPhone SE 2, and it shares a design very similar to the iPhone SE original. And take note, because I'm going to be showing you so many different things in this video. This is the first one that says on the back, not much will be changing. It still has those upper and lower slots like the original iPhone 5S and SE models. It doesn't seem to suggest it'll have a glass back or anything, but on the front, there's that full screen display, much like the iPhone 10 with the notch, and it's unknown if that's Face ID compatible or not, because last week we talked about earlier iPhone SE2 rumors, and Mac Takara said there wouldn't be Face ID on these models. So this one suggests that there's a larger cutouts, possibly could be Face ID. It's very hard to tell. And adding fuel to the fire, Vania Geskin tweeted this. He says that his very main source, the source that's been giving him info for the longest time, is saying that the iPhone SE2 will have a mostly unchanged design and display. The only thing that will be different from his source is that the back will be glass and thus supporting wireless charging. So for those of you that were expecting a huge redesign, Vania Geskin is saying don't, because his main source says it won't be changing all too much. And there's a new report by Mac Takara that's saying the release date of the iPhone SE2 will be in September, not in June or May as earlier thoughts. It was actually expected to release in June at WWDC. Apple sometimes drops new hardware at these events, but they're saying do not expect that because insider sources are saying Apple hasn't even started on the production of this device. And if they haven't done that, don't expect a release date anytime soon. So if they're going to start it around June, July, we can expect a September release alongside the other iPhone models. My question is, how will this thing stack up price-wise and feature-wise? I mean, if it does have a notch and Face ID in that display, will it interfere with sales of the 5.8-inch model or the larger 6.5 or even the 6.1? That would be the direct competitor here. For around $400, $500, I highly doubt Apple's going to put a display like that in this phone, but this next rumor is saying it will be happening. Elixir shared this CAD file, and this is the iPhone SE2 with the full screen display. They're saying it will be happening. They are so certain of it. They've even started selling their own cases. And we talked about that in my earlier video. They're actually selling a lineup of iPhone SE2 cases, even though the design supposedly hasn't been confirmed, but they've received CAD files of what it could be. So they're very set on that design, although there's even more conflicting reports about what it might be. And going off of that same report, Mac Takara is saying their supply chain sources have said that Apple hasn't even decided the final design yet themselves. There's still that decision that needs to be made on the final design. They're saying they're testing two models, one with the overall form factor of the iPhone SE model and another with the 6-inch display, which doesn't make sense on an iPhone SE. How can you possibly have a 6-inch display here? So I think they're confusing that model with the 6.1-inch LCD model that Apple's also planning. So that doesn't mean that the iPhone SE will have a 6-inch display. I mean, keeping the same form factor and having that is just not possible. But going off of what they're saying, it might also be possible that they're deciding between an SE and a 6.1-inch LCD model, and they're both going to have the full screen display. So they're just deciding which one to keep between those two. I really can't see an iPhone lineup where every single iPhone has that notched display. I mean, the sales would just be all over the place. Every phone would be cutting into the sales of the other one. And to make things even more confusing, this same report is saying that every prototype model that Apple is testing has the notched design and Face ID. This goes against almost everything we've heard aside from the new Elixir leaks and some of the other 3D CAD files of the iPhone SE2. They're saying the iPhone SE2 will have the notch and Face ID. I mean, on a cheap budget end model, it doesn't make sense, but they're saying it's going to happen. That would be cool. And just to go off of that, here are our renders of what that would look like. I mean, we imagined that it wouldn't have Face ID, so we made the notch a little bit smaller. To have that there on such a cheap model, I mean, I don't know how that would work really. It would look awesome. The design certainly would be amazing. I mean, it would be so sleek, modern, but still have some of that classical elements from the earlier iPhone SE and 5S days. So the overall consensus is that the iPhone SE2 seems to be happening. Everyone agrees that yes, it will happen. Right now, the release date is uncertain. Some are saying WWDC June. Most recently, Mac Takara is saying September. So yes, it will happen, but the design is unclear. Will it have the notch? Will it have the full screen display? Or will it be mostly the same as the original iPhone SE with a glass back and maybe some speed improvements inside? Guys, make of it what you will. There are so many conflicting reports here. I personally think it'll be a small spec bump. It'll have a glass back, maybe a couple new colors matching this of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus gold, possibly some sort of space gray option, slightly changed hue like Apple always does. But it will overall be cheap and the same thing as the original iPhone SE aside from the specs. Let me know what you guys think down below in the description. But if I could could ask Apple to do anything with the iPhone SE, this would be the design, the one from the future, where Apple would use their new technology to cut around the cameras and the sensors and make it an all-screen display on such a tiny frame would be so seriously cool. So that was just our dream iPhone SE2, what it could look like. But overall, guys, there it is. Everything we know about the iPhone SE2, the shell that you guys can actually buy and swap your current SE or the 5S, give it a fresher look with this guy would be pretty cool. I actually kind of like it. So I'm not going to use this guy, but it'll have a fresh look for iOS 12 that it's rumored to get. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching the latest on the iPhone SE2. Stay tuned for the news on that. Likely not going to see it until September, but if we do, of course, I'll be covering it come June. All right, guys. Peace.